All right, welcome back, everybody. Today, we, by we, I mean I am here to talk. You are here to listen. I'm here to adjust my camera. All right, check it out. We're going to talk about data at rest, or um, data at rest, if you say it that way. If you're one of those people. Securing transmissions to and from a server is always a good idea. But what about data once it reaches a destination and is stored on a media? What's that mean? That rest is stored in a media, not in transit. Okay. I think that's important. Okay. It's stored on media. Oh boy, excuse me one moment, please. Okay. We keep hearing. This is gonna bug me until I fix it. Stored on media. Okay. Huh. I'm so worked up. I'm gonna take a drink. I got pineapple juice. Well, it's a soda, but I don't mean take a drink. Like there's no alcohol in it. Okay. We keep hearing media reports about how millions of consumers' personal data has been compromised, and in some cases involves malicious user gaining physical access to a storage device. Okay. Could gain access to a physical. Sometimes I like to make up words, and Germans do that all the time too. I don't think I'm part German, but we have that in common. Um, so let's just mark that. So malicious users could gain access, or well, let's change this up. Make this a little bit more. X edit could gain. This is what we're really trying to say. Malicious users could gain physical access to a storage device. So that means, like, you know, if it were flash drive, they could walk in and they could take it. If it's in the server room, they could, you know, find a way to break into the server room, whatever. Steal it somehow. Malicious users could gain physical access. If they can gain physical access to it, they can take it. Encrypting entire disk volumes or individual files and folders adds another layer of security. So let's make a note here. Used on entire drives or individual files and folders. And I believe if we want to get even more technical, I believe even excuse me, I believe even like certain sections of a database can be encrypted. But right now we're entire. Let's call it entire disk volumes just to be pedantic. Pedantic, okay? We're being pedantic. And that adds a layer of security. In the case of a stolen drive. If encryption has been implemented, you needn't worry. The device could serve as a lovely paperweight. A stolen drive is not a worry if it has been encrypted. RYPTED. Stolen drive is not a worry. I believe Benjamin Franklin said that. Benjamin Franklin said, a stolen drive, if encrypted, is no man's worry. I believe that was the, in fact, let's go back and let's, here, a stolen drive, oops, right here. A stolen drive, once encrypted, is no man's worry. That's the way that Benjamin Franklin said it. So I'm going to X the rest of this out, and we'll tab over here. We'll see. Okay, so there's our quote for today. A stolen drive, once encrypted. Oh. No, that's not. He said, shit, man. An encrypted drive, if stolen, is no man's worry. That's what Benjamin Franklin said. Okay? So yeah. Moving on. Let's see here. Let's cross out our line here. Okay. Encryption of data at rest is useful with public cloud computing. With what? Public cloud computing. Public cloud computing. Okay, what's that mean? Where data center administrators are prevented from accessing cloud tenant data. Or what? Where the data center administrators are prevented from accessing cloud tenant data. What's that mean? That means if, for example, if you're buying cloud space from like Amazon Web Services for your business, they should not be looking at your data in your business. They should rent you the space, set it up for you about as much as they need to be involved, but they should not be going through your files. They shouldn't have any records. You know, they shouldn't be taking a look at, like, you know, your financial transactions or your customer base or any of that. Now, there may be clauses in the service agreements or something that allow them to do that. I don't know. But what this says here is data center administrators are prevented from accessing cloud tenant data. So if you are renting space to put your store there, they should not be messing with your junk. That's all I'm saying. That's what we're talking about here. So, tools to encrypt specific files or folders, or you might choose to encrypt volumes. We covered that. Encrypting tools can be used on specific files and folders. Or entire disk volumes. And we did say that before, but you know, we've said it once before, but it bears repeating. Data backup should also be what? Encrypted. For additional protection. So, but what does that mean? If we encrypt all of our backups, they're going to take longer to restore. So just bear that in mind. If you're in a situation where they say, well, we need backups fast, well, you need to ask them how do they feel about the risk of not encrypting those backups? They should be encrypted anyway. When data reaches the end of its useful life, it needs to be disposed of in a secure manner. Okay, that might require regulatory compliance. Doink, doink, doink. Okay, so let's make us a page 3. Come on, over here. Duplicate. Page 3. You might require regulatory compliance. Okay. This includes the remote wiping of devices, soft and hard wiping of data, may and can include wiping of mobile devices. This is real stuff, by the way. Where I work at, every time I turn in certain devices, I gotta wipe them before I send them off. I gotta wipe them before I send them off to disposal. I gotta wipe them before I send them off to repairs. I gotta wipe them before I put them on the shelf as a spare. Like I gotta put an operating system on it and test it, then wipe it and put it on the shelf as a warm spare. But yeah, this stuff's real. So wiping of mobile devices is a thing. Soft and hard wiping of data. What's that mean? Running programs on it, on the hard drive to wipe it. Or degaussing with a magnet, you know, could be a hard way to wipe using an electromagnet for some of those older devices that are more susceptible to those. Physical destruction of storage media. Physical destruction of storage media. That can be that too. And when you work in IT, probably going to, from time to time, destroy all kinds of stuff. One time I had the pleasure of taking apart an entire can't remember, it was a large printer. I think I took apart a whole copy or two. Those big fuckers stood on the floor. But they're like, I had to get rid of it. And I was just taking the whole thing apart piece by piece because, I just had the damn thing sitting right next to my desk, took the whole thing apart piece by piece. And the bosses were like, well, you sure, you sure you're getting that well enough? I'm just like, hey, one of us got to lift this thing over their head and throw it in the dumpster. So, if that ain't gonna be you, then I don't think there's anything else to say about it. I'm gonna do the heavy lifting. I'm gonna do it my way. So they didn't argue after that. Anyway, let's get ready to move on because we're moving on to a new section. We're gonna do 1.7. We're gonna jump into what are we gonna call it? We're gonna call it troubleshooting. Optimize performance. Woohoo! Page 1. So, oh man, wait. Oh crap! I didn't. Let's Control Z a few times, right? There we go. There. Now. Is that better? Well, okay, anyway, we had that all done up. Optimizing performance, and that's going to be 170. So, let's get rid of this note here. And when we come back next time, we will get into Server+170 troubleshooting and optimizing performance. And this is actually pretty cool. I want to take a quick detour and show you this real quick. So this is our next section, and we're going to do optimizing performance, troubleshooting, hardware and software troubleshooting, network troubleshooting, storage troubleshooting, security troubleshooting. Then we got a little section here called preparing for the worst. And then we got our review. We got how many questions? We got about 15 questions that we're gonna Q&A coming up. So that's our overview of what's coming up here and coming up next. Our section on troubleshooting, optimizing performance, preparing for the worst, and then our Q&A. So that'll all be coming up soon. Anyway, we'll see you then.